Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Blissful Literati. For the past few discussions, we have been focusing on narration change or the change from direct speech to indirect speech. We have already discussed the basic rules for the shift in tenses, pronouns, even some adverbs of time and place, and also how to change not only the assertive sentence but also interrogative sentences. Now, keeping in line with that discussion, today we are going to talk about the change of narration in case of imperative sentences. And it is imperative that you keep your pen and notebook ready to note down important points, pause, rewind, and play again till you understand the concepts to get the most out of this video. Now, without further delay and with this pearl of wisdom, let's now proceed to see the nature of imperatives. Basically, what are imperative sentences, and more importantly, what do they do? Now, imperative sentences, if you remember, like when we learned about sentence types, assertive sentence, interrogative sentence, imperative sentence, optative sentence, exclamatory sentence, each kind of sentence, they have their own roles to play, own functions. Now the function of imperatives is to give us some idea of order or request or perhaps advice. I can order you to do something, right? Your parents, your teachers can order you to, for example, submit your summer projects or assignments within a given time period. That is an order. There can be even a reminder for that. The order was given and they're reminding you. So there can be a reminder for that. Your friends or your acquaintances, your colleagues may request you for something. There can be one placard just at one point anywhere in a green field, grassy field, saying, "Please keep off the grass," asking you, requesting you not to trample the grass beds. So that is a request. And when I said, when I asked you to sit with your pen and paper to take notes and everything, to pause, play, rewind, whatever, when I said that, I was not requesting you to do that. I was not even ordering you to do that. I was actually advising you. I was actually advising you some way which, if you follow, you will benefit yourself the most. So that was advice. It is up to you whether to follow or not. But order, I expect you to follow. Request, I want you to do that. I need you to do that. But it is up to you whether you would do that or not. And advice, it is up to you completely. I have no expectations. Yes, I am telling this, I'm saying all that for your benefit, but anyway, I have no expectations. You can do it, you may not do it. It is totally up to you. And these kind of things are, these kind of things are expressed with imperative sentences. Now, when we are in this part, remember the most important part in sentence conversion, speech conversion, is the reported verb. Now, we are using a reporting verb in the direct speech. When we are converting it, we can use the same thing and sometimes we use something different. Now, the most various options of this reporting verb which we have comes to play in this imperative sentence. We can use the simple tell, ask, that we can use, but apart from that, we can also use these words, these verbs of order, request, or advise, directly ordered, requested, advised, commanded. But apart from all that, we can even use remind, we can use um, recommend, invite, implore, entreat, forbid. If there is some kind of warning, then warn. So we can use so many different kinds of verbs to indicate these three things. The basic purpose is to make it quite clear what is the nature or the tone of the reporting speech, to indicate that we use so many different kinds of verbs of order, request, and advice. Now let's move on to the next part where we will have some example of imperative sentences, how they are. So first of all, let's have a look at this girl. Now this girl is actually saying, "Excuse me, sir." So what does she want? She want me to excuse her. But note how she uses the word sir. She is giving me some importance, right? So we can say she begged me to excuse her. I'm not using ordered because definitely this is not an order. You do not order your senior, your superior, sir. You do not order your sir or ma'am, if I am to be gender neutral. So you don't order, you don't even advise them. You don't say, "Sir, a word of advice," or "Ma'am, a word of advice." You don't say like that. They are your seniors, right? So it is request. Now, this particular request, if I use request, it is very common, right? Everybody is going to use the word request, at least those who have no other options present. But you, my dear friend, you have this other options like begged, implored, right? So you can use so many different words. I am choosing to use begged in place of request, a verb of request. She begged me to excuse her. And what about this boy? This boy says, "Please give me a glass of water." Now, since he says, "Please," this is, you can easily understand what is this, right? Yes, this is a request. So we can simply say he requested me. Again, he is looking at me. Or if you are looking at the screen, then he is looking at you. He is requesting me to give him a glass of water. So I can simply say he requested me to give him a glass of water because that is what it is, right? Or even maybe look at this girl, look at her expression. She is so irritated. She looks so angry. And why? She says, "Lower the volume." But um, just by looking at her expression, I don't think she's saying it. She's pressing her ears close and her facial expression, maybe she's screaming. She's screaming over the loud volume to get herself conveyed to the person. She's screaming. And this, the tone, because she's screaming, this is like an order or a command. It is not, obviously, she's not imploring or begging like the first girl, "Excuse me, sir." No, she's not doing that. Neither this is a request, "Please lower the volume." No, no. So this is basically one order or command. So we can say she ordered us, she ordered you, she ordered him, she ordered her. But the basic thing is she ordered. She ordered or commanded us to lower the volume. So the basic idea which we are getting from these, speech bubbles, and when we are converting them, the basic idea of this change, we can say that a verb of command, advice, or request, order, command, right? These comes to the verb of command, request, beg, entreat, implore. They come to request. Similarly, like several other verbs can come under advice. So even warning is a kind of bridge between advice and command. So we have so many different verbs, but basically a verb of command, advice, or request, then place the object, the person to whom they are speaking, assumed or given, and then the infinitive construction, to lower, to give, to excuse. So excuse me, sir. She begged me, begged, a verb of request. She begged me to excuse her. me is the object, and to excuse is the infinitive construction. He requested, a verb of request. He requested object me to give, infinitive construction, him a glass of water. Similarly, lower the volume. They all work in the same pattern. Now, if your mind is really, confused to process all this information, let's have some proper examples in front of us. So, let's have a very simple sentence first. I say to you, go home at once. I say to you, go home at once. Maybe you are needed there, maybe you should be there for some reason or whatever. So I can say, I advised you. I'm not ordering you, I'm not requesting you, I'm advising you. I advised you to go home at once. So you see, a verb of advice, advised itself, then the object you remains the same in subject and object form. So you, then infinitive construction to go, and then whatever is there, just as it is, home at once. So I advised you to go home at once. Let's have another sentence. She said to me, please explain the poem. Now you note the use of please here. When we say please, we are actually requesting the person opposite, right? We are the person who is opposite us, we are requesting to them to do something. So she said to me, she is requesting me to do what? To explain the poem. So we can say she requested me to explain the poem. Again, requested, a verb of request, then the object me, and then infinitive construction to explain, and as it is, the poem, the poem. Next, we have another example. The librarian said to us, maintain silence. Now, remember, we talked about another verb which is between order and advice. Now, when you're in a library, it is imperative that you maintain silence. You should not talk loudly inside a library. That's against the rule. Now, the librarian, perhaps we forgot the rule and we were chattering away happily, loudly sometimes. So the librarian comes and tells us, the librarian said to us, maintain silence. This is not exactly an order, and this is definitely not an advice, but what is it? It is a warning that if next time we speak loudly, he will throw us out. So the librarian said to us, the librarian warned us to maintain silence. The librarian warned us to maintain silence. Now let us stop here for a moment, because you might be thinking how to understand what word is what sentence is what. You might be confused about the nature of the reporting speech. Now let me tell you this. Don't be so confused. It is very easy basically. I'm not saying, I'm not insisting that you have to use, you must use entreat, warn, implore, beg, words like this. No, definitely not. What I'm saying is that you understand the context, you understand the tone of the sentence, and till then, please do continue using ordered, requested, and advised. Those you can easily understand. You ask me how? Well, if it is request, then there will be a please. If it is order, you can understand from the tone. And if it is advice, the same thing. Do not play into the sun. It is an advice. If it comes from your parents like that, it is an advice. You will fall sick, right? So like that, they are interchangeable depending on the tone of the sentence. That is not wrong. Yes, if there is a sentence with please and you make it he ordered, please explain the poem. She ordered me to explain the poem. Now, that is wrong. But apart from that, go home at once. I ordered you to go home at once. I advised you to go home at once. No problem. Both correct. So, why should you try to understand at all these things? You see, when the examiner is checking the copies, let's be practical first. When the examiner is checking the copies and he comes across this sentence, and then he finds that one boy has used the word warned and another is using the simple advised, or ordered, the examiner will understand that the boy who has used the word warned can understand, can decipher the sentence better than the other student, can decode it in a far better way. So definitely that paper will get some special consideration while he's checking it, some hidden marking, anything. Basically, he will prefer that copy. He will prefer that copy, and you know these impressions which you create on us, that goes a long way. How we assess your submissions. I'm looking at a copy as an examiner. I'm looking at a copy. It is wonderfully written, perfect English, um, well established vocabulary, and everything is perfect, just perfect. We will be forced to consider it more than a copy which has maybe the same content but written in a very basic, flat way. I repeat, the content is same, but the writing is dirty, mostly illegible, and it falls flat. Nothing to hold our interest to that, like that. So definitely, I'm going to properly assess, read or anything, the better one. That happens. Even you are reading. Just think about it. You are reading a storybook. You will go through the storybook in a better way if it attracts you, if it interests you. If the storybook fails to get you hooked, you will leave it midway. So if you can do it, if this happens to you, this can happen to anybody. This is only human nature. So that's why it is better that you learn how to decode or decipher the sentence and use the words appropriately, right? They will not, nobody is going to cross it out. If you, instead of warn, you write advised, nobody is going to cross out 1 marks or half marks from it. You will get full 1 or half marks. Yes, but the preference, a better way to assess everything, it will go there. Let's have one more example. Anuj said to me, come to my birthday party. Now see, Anuj is my friend. He will not request me to go join his birthday party, because request is actually a weak form, and my friend, he is not going to make some weak request. He is not even going to order me. So what he's going to do, he is pressing me. It is a kind of order, but it is full of love. So he's pressing me, or is entreating me to join his birthday party. So the sentence will be, Anuj entreated me to go to his birthday party. To go, again, infinitive construction, me is the object and entreated, a verb of request. Now coming to the next part, now we will talk about a special kind of imperative sentences. Sentences which begins with let. Now what is going to happen here? See, sometimes we come across sentences which begins with let. The direct speech within quotation, it starts with let. Now when such a sentence comes, they usually indicate some kind of suggestion or proposal. For example, you say, let us play football. Let us complete the work afterwards. Let us watch the movie now. What you are doing, you are suggesting something, that this should be done, right? So they actually indicate some suggestion or proposal. And in this case, when we are doing indirect sentence, we are changing it. We replace the let part with should or we should. We should, you should. Basically, let is replaced with should, and there may be a subject in front of it. Okay, subject that precedes the should. Apart from that, the reporting verb, we also change the reporting verb to propose or suggest. So when I said, when we are doing imperative sentences, we can use so many reporting verbs in indirect speech. But when we are doing imperative sentences which start with let, we use propose or suggest to zoom in on the idea of suggestion or proposal as hinted by the word let. So the reporting verb changes to propose or suggest when we are reporting it. Also, apart from this, we also use let in a different manner, in a manner which is not suggestion or proposal, but anything except that, suggestion or proposal. In that case, we, in indirect reporting, the verb is changed into might or might be allowed. We can even change it to ought to. Okay, ought to be allowed, ought to. So we can use that. We can use these modal verbs. If it is suggestion or proposal, we use the verbs propose or suggest. And if it is anything but suggestion or proposal, we use modal verbs might be allowed, ought to be allowed, like that. So let's have some examples before we finish this thing off. Let's have some examples to get these ideas inside our head. First of all, he said, let us go to the movies tonight. Now you see, this is a suggestion. He's suggesting. He's raising this proposal, this movie night proposal. He's raising it. So what we can do? We will use proposed or suggested in this case. So he proposed or suggested that we should go to the movies that night. Obviously, you know by now that tonight becomes that night. I'm not going there. But what I want to focus on is that we are removing let and bringing in should. We should go, remains go, to the movies, and tonight, that night. So basically, two changes. It is a suggestion or proposal. So he proposed or suggested. Then we are removing the let part with we should. And whatever is there, we are keeping it. Suppose we have another sentence like she said, let me speak. Now, if this is a suggestion or proposal, I am saying if, because given the context, it can be a suggestion, it can be a proposal, or it can be something else. So she said, let me speak. We can say if it is suggestion or proposal, she suggested or proposed that we should let her speak. We should let her speak. Now, suppose this sentence is not a suggestion or proposal. Let me speak. We can easily say, she said that she might be allowed, or she suggested, she proposed, whatever, that she might be allowed to speak. Okay, we will come to that afterwards, but first let's complete this proposal and suggestion part. Let's have another example. You said, let us meet tomorrow. Again, a suggestion, a proposal. During this lockdown season, you can suggest to your friends on WhatsApp, okay, let's have a group conversation tomorrow. Let's have a group WhatsApp meeting call tomorrow, in the evening, in the morning, in the afternoons, whenever. So it is a suggestion that you're raising, and your friends can agree to that, or they may say, okay, but I will be busy at that time, so can we do it afterwards, some other time? Whatever it is, whatever be the response, what you are doing, you are suggesting something. Let us meet tomorrow. So the answer should be, you suggested or proposed that we should meet tomorrow. So let is replaced with should. Said, suggested, or proposed. And whatever there is, there is. One minor correction, I just overlooked this. Tomorrow, we should change tomorrow into the next day. Please note the correction. Tomorrow will be changed into the next day. But I suppose you already know that, because we have already done one video session where we discussed all these changes. Tomorrow should be changed into the next day. I'm very sorry for this mistake, but please pay attention and note this. Let's have another example. I said, let us have some music. Now, in this case, again, this is a suggestion or proposal. We can have, I suggested or proposed. I suggested or proposed that we should have some music. We should have some music. So you see, these are suggestion or proposal sentences, and we are converting it by using the reporting verb proposed or suggested. And also we are replacing the let word with should, the modal should. And before we move on to the final part, let me again remind you that tomorrow in this example is given, is a little mistake is there. In the indirect speech, tomorrow will be converted into the next day. or the following day. So you suggested or proposed that we should meet the next day, right? So let's have some examples of some situation where late does not include a proposal or suggestion. For example, he said, "Let me come in." This is not a suggestion, this is not even a proposal. This is asking permission. So he requested that he might be allowed to come in. He requested, said becomes requested. It is a permission, asking permission. He requested that he might be allowed, and then again the infinitive construction to come. If we have another sentence like he said, "Let me have some milk," we can easily say that he requested that he might be allowed to have some milk. Again, request, because you see, let, we don't order with let, we don't advise with let, basically we request. Or you can even say asked, we can use the verb ask, we can use the verb tell, we can use the verb say itself, we can use the verb implore, entreat. So many verbs we can use. So another sentence, he said, "Let him do whatever he likes." And in this case, he said that he might be allowed to do whatever he liked. Now, this is, I'm deliberately not using request because you see, let him do whatever he likes. It is not exactly a request. Imagine you have an argument with your mother and father, and they are very angry. They cannot make you see their point. So, your father or mother, they say, "Okay, leave it, bunk it all, let him do whatever he likes." Now this is, they're not condoning what you want to do. They just letting you be, because you are not going to listen to them. So it is not a request actually. It is not actually a request. So I'm not using the word request here. He said that he might be allowed to do whatever he liked. With this, we come to an end of this session. So at the end of this session, we have understood how to change imperative sentences from direct to indirect speech. And apart from that, we have also paid some attention to conversion that includes the let word. To summarize, we can again say that let indicates two things. One would be suggestion or proposal, and another would be anything but that. Permission, or like this, all those things. Request, everything else. So in each case, there are some subtle changes. For example, when it is suggestion or proposal, we are using suggested or proposed as reporting verb, and we are using should to replace let. But when it is not a suggestion or proposal, we are using requested, we can use said, implored, entreated, those verbs. And then we are using might or might be allowed, or we can even use ought. We can simply say he requested that he ought to be allowed to come in. He requests that he ought to be allowed to have some milk, ought to be allowed to do whatever he liked. We can even use ought to or ought to be. So like this, we will convert impaired sentences from direct speech to indirect speech. I hope you have understood it well. But if you have any doubt, any queries, anything at all, please ask us and we will surely get back to you. And remember the correction that we made in the previous slide. Tomorrow, the next day. Thank you. Till we meet again. Bye bye.